Good afternoon, good evening, and good everything. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, and also author of the book, Find Them, Focus, Follow Up, and Finish. Coming to you on our We Are Ready show this evening, where we focus on staying ready, getting ready, and certain topics of the day. I hope that you like, share, and subscribe over here to our Square Mile Media Atlanta platform. We got a lot of content, a lot of information. Tonight, we're going to talk about a subject matter that's hot. You know, there's three things that's really hot when you talk about abortion, uh, religion, and Israel. That's a hot deal. And sometimes we say, why is it so complicated? Why is all this turmoil? Why are these people doing this and why are these people doing that? I'm going to be bringing a guest on board, Mr. Eric Morton. But before I really get into it, we're just going to go over a timeline. I'm going to try to go quick. We're going 2,000 years. This land, which is today Israel, has been sacred to the Jewish people for thousands of years. Today, the land is also sacred to other religions as well. On around 1700, what we call before, what they call it, before Common Era, Abraham was promised the land by God and his descendants, who became known as the Jewish people. And if you're familiar with the scripture, you know there was a hiccup there somewhere, and you got two different type people coming out of that. But over the next 1,000 years, various empires would take control of this land. It would be the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greek, the Romans, the Muslims, Byzantines, the Ottoman Empire, the Arabs, and the British. All that would happen. I'm just going to point out a couple of key timelines. 1700, Abraham. This is 1700 before Common Era. Abraham settles in the land of Canaan. It was Canaan. It was called Canaan before Israel. 1500, Joseph is sold into slavery. His family joins him in Egypt. 1400, the Hebrews are enslaved by the Egyptians. 1300, Moses leads the Hebrews out of Egypt. 1200, Hebrews arrive in Israel. 1020, Saul is crowned the first king. David becomes king. 922, and this is still before Common Era. Israel is split into two nations, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. 722, the Assyrians conquered the northern part. 586, Babylon with Nebuchadnezzar II conquers. 538, Cyrus the Great, king of Persia, conquers Babylon. He allows the Jewish people to return home. They ran them out first time. 516, the second temple is constructed. 322, the Greeks, led by Alexander the Great, these names we're starting to get familiar with, conquers Israel along with all of Persia and Egypt. Ooh, a lot of going on. 167, the Bacchaman revolt occurs, bringing independence to the Jews. 63, Rome, led by Pompey the Great, conquers Israel. 37, Herod the Great is made king. 30, which is Common Era, or what we call AD, Jesus is crucified. 70 AD, or Common Era. Romans destroy the second temple. 73, last of Jewish rebels defeated. 132, Jewish people revolt against the Romans. 200, oral traditions, the law of the Jewish people is written out. 614, Persians capture Jerusalem. 638, Muslims forces capture Jerusalem. 691, the Dome of the Rock is built. 1070, the Turks take control, forbidding Christians to enter the city. 1096, Christians embark on the first crusade. 1099, the Crusaders take over what is now Jerusalem. 1087, the Sultan of Egypt captures Jerusalem. Jews allowed to re-enter. 1517. Now we get closer to where we are. The Ottoman Empire takes control. They rebuild and they rule to the 1900s. 1914, World War I begins. And then somewhere in 1917, the Balfour Declaration, that was allowing Jewish people to come back to that land, which is now known as Palestine. 1917, Ottoman Empire is defeated by the British. 1920, the British take over Israel, Palestine mandate. They put that out. 1939, World War II begins. 6 million Jews killed by the Nazis. 1945, World War II ends. Somewhere around that time, the United Nations and the League of Nations recognized Israel, what we call modern day Israel. Independent Israel in 1948 is declared. Right after that, Israel is attacked by the Arab coalition. That's Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Israel wins that war. And in that process, they gain some territory. 1949, Israel joins the United Nations. 1956, there's a Suez Crisis. 1967, there's a Six-Day War. This brings us close to where we are. Israel, in that Six-Day War, they acquired what is now known as the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and the Golan Heights. And some of that is what they call occupied territory. 1969, Golda Meir, first woman prime minister. 1973, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel on the Jewish holiday. 1979, Camp David, remember that? Jimmy Carter, Israel signs a peace treaty with Egypt. 1991, the Gulf War, remember that? I think the second, one of the Bushes, keeping those Scuds from going over to Israel. 2009, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is the prime minister. And in 2017, U.S. recognizes Jerusalem under Donald Trump as the capital of Israel. Now we have a conflict over there, and you've seen in the news conflict that's going on, and you say, well, what's going on? Well, that's just a little history lesson. I'm about to bring my guest, Mr. Eric Morton, in so he can share some highlights. Brother Eric, how you doing, sir?
Great, Drummer. How are you?
Oh, man, doing great. Just laid down a little foundation, for us a little bit, about this situation. And I know you shared some things with me, but this is what we know now. This is just a flat history lesson, about it, but as we get into it and start to really unpack it a lot, we find that, there's a line in the sand somewhere, especially over the last couple of years with the United States involvement, and that really turned the corner. But maybe you can introduce yourself and share a little bit, start telling us a little bit about your perspective.
Well, I'm Eric Morton. I'm, like I said, I'm part of the Dads on Duty now in Florida branch that we're doing. And I'm just getting some things together here to make sure that we can keep our people informed about what's going on and to give them a perspective of a lot of things that's happened. And as you said in your speech, the ultimate thing here is that land was given to them by God. That was set aside by God. So all of these people conquering and conquering other people and fighting war, they have to understand that there's a spiritual element here that's been there. And it's been driven by that for over the years. Now, let's fast forward up some. Let's go back to now what we're talking about, what's happening with the war over there. You've got Hamas that's going on. And Hamas has been in charge of the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian people. They've been running it officially, I believe we go back to 2007, about 2007, 2008, and they haven't had another election since, which tells you that that's part of what they're doing. And what happened on October 7th was just atrocious. And some of the things that were going on that was planned is in some cases, even people who normally come in to clean up the scenes that they have for them were just dumbfounded by some of the brutality and some of the severity of the things that happened. And the thing is that innocent people were caught in this. And I want people to really get that. Innocent people, innocent family. They weren't fighting. They didn't come in to attack just the military. They came in and attacked civilian people, people who were at a concert, people who were home with their families, people who were on vacation, people who were from different places. And when we look at it now, we say, well, its thing is going into a war now. The United States got involved. And I have to let everybody know, we got involved as soon as they took American hostages. Please believe it. That's when we really got involved, because that was a signal that says you are indiscriminately taking people and you have no concern for anybody. And believe it or not, all the other nations that they've also basically got their hostages, those people inadvertently are involved in this war as well. So I just want to share that real quick right there, and just give people a little background on what, some things that's really happening. This is the start of what's going on.
Okay. And I have to share this also. One of the reasons we gave the timelines and the dates, because when you see the timelines and the dates, you can compare them to what's going on over here. Now, this is some of the controversy. I think even before Malcolm died, was assassinated, so many Black civil rights people always kind of were sympathetic towards the Palestine people, because they saw their fight as being a fight that was similar to ours. Now, a little bit different. They will put them hands on you. Okay. They are, if they go, they'll do some protesting, and then, different elements, because I think you had the PLO was there before. That's the Palestine Liberation Organization. They was there before Hamas.
Right.
A lot in there. And you got Israel who's there. And Israel, they are probably the most powerful military on the planet that will take action. Everybody else, everybody else.
It's quite clear. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that these people have to understand around the world, you going up against somebody that's a formidable, well-trained, well-organized, well-planned military, officially a military. They are not a group of guys getting together, deciding that, hey, we're going to do this. Not to say that anybody has done that, but they are a well-trained organization. And let me say it this way, that I was a tanker in the United States Army. Okay. So when I saw the tanks that they had here going over to that's getting involved in it, it made me think about my training that happened years ago. We were training alongside Israel soldiers because they had some of the best training tank knowledge on the planet. It made sense. So it's very detailed and very real. And with this conflict and this war that's there's a lot of questions and a lot of concerns. I know people have that, but people have to look at it. And I know one of the questions that comes up, and people want to say, well, what's the appropriate response? Appropriate response, I'll tell them, is you ask that to Hamas about them babies. What did them babies do to them to deserve an appropriate response? What did them 260 people at the concert that was down there, and some of them were shot in the back, some of them were shot in the porta potties, some of them were burned on the top of their car? What kind of response should be for somebody who had no concern for life? None. And they still don't. Because in their strategy, the Hamas strategy is that they hide behind churches, they hide behind mosques, they hide behind hospitals, they fire these rockets. And you would think that everybody's saying, well, they should ask for a ceasefire. Hamas has been firing rockets every day. So they're not interested in a ceasefire. They're really not. So the response is going to be, is that it's real. To me, if anybody asks what's the proper response, tell them to release the hostages, surrender, and say that, and right now say that never again will you basically say that you're going to want the Jews to be eliminated off the planet. Let them commit to that. in writing from all these leaders that's been leading the Palestinian people. Put that in writing and let them know that that's the freedom that they want for everybody. That they're going to disarm, they're going to give up their tunnels, they're going to give up all of their weapon stashes, they're going to give up all of their headquarters, the things that's going on. Because guess what? I don't think they heard Benjamin Netanyahu very clearly. They will not have anything left to go to. They won't have no meeting places. You won't have no stocks of ammo. You will have nowhere to go. And if they want this stop, give up the hostages, lay down your weapons, and commit that you're going to let Israel live in peace.
Oh, that's a bold thing to put out there, that they can live in peace. You know, when we see the history of that area, they've been fighting. You know, matter of fact, every battle, probably most of the battles in the Bible, in the biblical text, is still around that area. Look like
the area.
You know,
war is. Go ahead.
Well, and you know, now in modern day, this is probably, this is why it's good to unpackage the whole story. In war is just straight hell. Most people can't envision, you know, when the United States first had to engage the enemy or someone, like in Vietnam, okay, you got to walk amongst the women and the children. Now, part of the Geneva Convention, you know, they said don't bomb hospitals, don't do this, don't do that, and don't do this. Well, on one side, you got people that's fighting for their freedom, their, you know, their liberation. But a part of that, I think the actual people of Palestine, and even the actual people in Israel, don't want to fight. Okay?
Nobody wants to fight.
Nobody wants to fight.
That's just the truth of it. Nobody wants to fight.
There's no winners. However, when there is a fight, and these are because in this particular situation, the Hamas is not, I mean, there's no way they can compete against the Israeli armed forces. Now, this is the kind of the bad thing that I see from the human element. Okay? Now, Israel is like the United States. Israel is a small country, but they got the same capabilities as the United States, Russia, and China. Now Russia might be a little bit more harder, and China might be a little bit more harder, but Israel, when it comes down to retaliation, they will hit you 1,000 times harder. It's like Old Testament. They just got modern weapons. We talked about, you know, you remember when they had the what was that, the Persian Gulf conflict,
right?
And they were trying to stop the Scud missiles because Israel had already said, if these Scuds come in here,
they bringing it back.
It's on.
Bringing it back to you.
Yeah, the United States was doing everything they could to stop those Scuds from coming over into Israel. They did a pretty good job. That's when the Patriot system came out. They did an undeveloped, untested system to keep them Scuds out of here. Because Israel is like Old Testament. They go in full scale. And I know it looks bad. It is bad. When you start losing women and children and war, there's no sympathy. There's no compassion. But there's a lot of things that's going on. And I have to put this out. Israel is probably one of the last apartheid type states.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, I mean, when you look at the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, all what they call occupied territories. I was just talking to your brother, and I was just letting them know, now they got those folk under some painful situations. You know, either they say they're going to leave or they're going to make them leave. They either going to leave or they're going to make them leave. So it's almost, if they start fighting back, they even take on more pressure. Israel has gained more. Every time they fight Israel, they lose territory.
Absolutely.
When 48, they lost. Israel was a dot. And I think they took over then. And that's when I think Egypt, Syria, Jordan attacked Israel. And, you know, Israel wasn't probably really backed by the United States back in 1948. I think they were backed by European powers like France. And then when America came in, after that, I think 68, when they did that, the last major was a major battle. That's when Israel gained a good portion of that area, the Gaza Strip, uh, the Golan Heights, the West Bank, and then they established occupied territory over those folk. It was a military reign. They put the wall up, all this type stuff, and they really started to, in a way, discipline those folk, just like they were doing in South Africa. They've got situations where, and the people fighting back. However, Israel is like, if you don't tell us who did it, and we think you did it, and it's your cousin, you gonna pay the price. Now, that can be looked at uncivil, and it can be somewhat like bullying. So sometimes people say, well, the Palestine people are up against the wall. They can't win for losing.
Well, it's the thing is that they've got to, what they could have done was, we need a louder voice for the international community, using these different organizations out there who are now trying to bring a voice to Israel. But it's hard to bring it to Israel now after you had the slaughter of your people. People are not listening. People right now is like people want to say, oh, they released hostages. Man, Benjamin doesn't care nothing about no. two American hostages. You ain't released all of them. He's like, if Hamas wants to do something, release them all.
Yeah.
Then now you got something to go with. Now Israel will be looked at a lot differently. But you holding hostages, you still firing rockets, you still haven't decided that this war is over for you brutally. Yeah. And you're still fighting back. Well, you're hurting the Palestinian people further, because you're causing them to be displaced. You're causing them to be killed. When you find your rockets and go back down in your tunnels that pop up behind all of these places, that if you were an army that was respected the laws of war, you wouldn't have them in those places anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I have to play like devil's advocate. When you fighting, and you fighting for your freedom, you fighting for your liberation, all bets are off. Now, you would think that Hamas would have consideration for their people. Most people don't want the people that they say they represent to be punished like that,
Right.
But by them not having an official space or official military, those guerrilla war tactics are putting those people in harm's way. And it's no way, really, there's no way they can win.
Well, the thing is that Hamas was controlling all the financial and economic things that was happening there for the people. But now they were like I said, they were elected back in 2006, 2007, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now they decided that the money coming in, they build the tunnels, they build a rock, they stockpile the rockets up, because if you notice, like I said, even in the middle of this now, with what they find, they still are trying to attack and cause damage to Israel. They're still doing that. They chose to take their money and all the economic power they had, and they've been doing nothing but investing in fighting, just setting up and saying they want to destroy Israel. And my thing is this: Israel is like, if you're not going to help your people with all of that gun, okay, we're going to build up our military, we're going to build up our Iron Dome, and when like now, you've really crossed the line. And that's my thing, is that if the Hamas was truly interested in having a civil solution, there's no way they should have went in there and slaughtered anybody innocent. No way. All of the deals with peace that they were trying to offer to Hamas, not one deal that they tried to offer. And I don't have the details to all of them, but there were several deals that was been offered them over the years that Hamas wanted nothing to do with. Now, it might have been asking for more land or whatever it was, but no deal. Hamas decided to do no deals with Israel at all. So when you get people that's got that mindset that thinks that you can't help them, and then we're going to attack your civilians, my thing is this: you have already signed your death warrant to your own people, because now you basically said, since your people don't matter, and ours don't matter, you signed everybody's death warrant. You just have. Because if you were trying to make this a civil thing, you would have made sure the international community got involved, and you would have came up with a resolution in that would have put pressure on Israel to do other things than what has been happening in the past.
Well, now take the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Ukraine is fighting a major power, Russia.
Right. Yes.
Now, for some reason, people they will come to the aid because they recognize Ukraine as an independent space.
Right. Right.
Okay. Now, the people of Palestine, those are not recognized even by the United Nations as a sovereign space or a country. Israel has been recognized, claimed its independence in 1948, been a part of the United Nations. So they have the backing of the rest of the world. Okay.
Right.
Now, the Palestine people, sometimes, we get in there, we say this is a Christian Jewish war. Okay. But I don't know if, but it's a fear of Israel that the Arab nations are going to gang up on them. But every time they gang up on them, Israel been winning. I mean, it's they've defeated the Egypt,
yep,
Syria,
Jordan,
Jordan,
Lebanon.
Yes, and
that's the thing now. Even right now, they are dealing with Lebanon in the northern part of Israel.
Right.
And once again, to make a difference here of people, Israel told their own people in the villages that was close to the border, y'all got to go.
Okay.
They told them to get out and move. Those people are now having to move from 28 different cities, from my understanding, up in the northern Israel. 28 cities that it make whatever it is their makeup up there they're having to go south as well, just like they told the people of Palestine to go south. So that because they already know, and this is the thing that people are not even looking at, and they are already dealing with Hezbollah up there from Lebanon, and they've already warned and told Lebanon. Lebanon's already in an economic crunch right now. But see, Hezbollah has been so entwined in taking over their country as well, being supported from Iran. And for the most part, Israel is telling them, hey, they've finna deal with them now. But what they've said was, Hezbollah, if you jump in this, check this out. If Hezbollah jumps in, Israel is going after Iran because that's who's backing them. Pay attention to what Benjamin Netanyahu said. He said the supporters of Hamas.
Wow.
As well. And those are the type of things, that people have been paying attention to. You muted, drummer.
Oh, okay. Let me I was sharing, we also were on Facebook and Instagram, putting it out there. Welcome the brother. But when we look at it, we say we like the underdog. In this case, the people of Palestine are the underdog, and especially as, Black and brown people, a lot of times but we can see when someone's not being treated like we think they should be treated. One of the things, and I know they have to announce different things, but when they show the casualties, when they call you a name, okay, you become less human, okay? Whether it's a terrorist or, whatever, it becomes easier to either genocide or kill these people, take them out, Now, Israel, and sometimes their behavior is almost like a bully type thing, but like you say, what's caused all this gumbo to come forward is what's really going on with the people retaliating and the people claiming that there's their land. They don't want to be occupied. They don't want to be under some type of apartheid military rule. And then when groups come in like Hamas that can move and motivate and take over, their interest might not be that of the people of Palestine. Right now in the Congress and many other places, people are looking for some form of peace. Okay.
Right.
Now, from it can be different stories, and I just have to throw this out there. We went through the history going all the way back to Abraham.
Okay.
Saying how the people, and most people will tell you these are chosen people, yada, 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 all this. Well, when you think about it, both sides got, if you went from a religious standpoint, both sides got some voice because both sides traced themselves back to Abraham. Okay. And like we said, they've been fighting ever since. But now we in modern day time, you would think that because in that area, you got Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right there.
Right there together. Yeah.
Yeah. And you would think that they would find some way of having some degree of peace. I don't know what what can be done to, because every time you kill somebody or hurt somebody, that just complicates the situation,
and that's what I'm saying here is that if they will want peace, you don't go in and slaughter people. You don't go in there and go after babies. You don't go in there and go after families. You don't go up there and shoot people at a peace concert. And and ultimately, if you was respecting people, you wouldn't have done it on the Jewish holiday.
Well, they got a history of doing that.
See?
In 1973, I think Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur.
That was a Jewish holiday. And you know what? It's almost like tit for tat. Israel will attack them on one of their holidays, Unfortunately, you got countries that, in Israel's case, I mean, the reason I'm more harder on Israel is a world power, okay?
No question about it. No question about it.
Now we kind of used to the United States, when they say punishment for doing something. United States, you can do something, and I think the only time we really went off, that it might have been 9/11 when we went and said, hey, we go, but we still did some type of diplomatic stuff. We didn't just go in and just, at least from our news reporting, the American people just say, hey, now, I think that's enough. Y'all don't got them enough. This is enough. Y'all done did it. Y'all got enough reciprocating collateral damage. Y'all, this is enough. Let's try to figure out some way to resolve this thing. But if you keep on with the war machine is, and like I said, in every case where they came up against Israel just got more land.
And that's what I'm saying is that that's what I'm saying. If they wanted a diplomatic solution to it, they should have made Hamas appeal to the international community. Mm-hmm. International community should have worked with Israel because Israel, I believe, is still looking for peace. They still looking for peace. I believe that.
I believe so,
and I believe so wholeheartedly. But my thing is this: right now, at this moment in time, based on what they did on October the 7th, nobody's listening to them until Hamas says, we give up. Here are your hostages. We surrender to you. We are not going to get it. We're not going to be the ones at war because, like you said, Israel going to gain that land. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to get, unfortunately, that if we call it an end game, they occupy that territory. When they call it the Iron Dome or what?
That's a defense. That's a defense they got over there. And the thing is, now
I'm surprised they was able to get through that.
Well, mind you, it was like I said, it was on a holiday. It's like anything. You and I both been in the military. When people go on holiday, you don't have nowhere near as many people on these posts protecting the way it is. People go home on holidays. People take long vacations, and you just have it. And you really want it to be a festive time, even when people are active duty. So yeah, you caught them off guard. The thing is now is that they're going to have to concede that Israel got this one. If they want this thing to end tomorrow, Hamas need to come out there with all of them hostages, say, we, here are your hostages, we surrender. All our leaders are no longer fighting you. We are ready to take our international crimes that we did against your nation, and we're ready to go to jail for the sake to save the Palestinian people. And give them, and they need a new home, because that brings us back to, like you said, now here's something that I found interesting around. You got a lot of people in support of the Palestinian people around, but here's one thing, all of these countries that are supporting them, not one country has said they want to accept the refugees from Palestine. Isn't that interesting?
That's a biggie.
My thing is this, so how you say you support people, but they can't come and live in your country?
Whoa. Well, and that they will have to go into the Arab nations.
That's who's supporting it, right?
Want them to come over. That that's looking at Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all those countries. This, like I said, this is a touchy, very complicated area. It's been nasty.
Yes.
Since I saw a period of time that they were at peace. And this was when the Ottoman Empire took control. That was from 1517 to about 1900s.
Wow, almost 400 years.
Yeah, they kept it. And then when World War I broke out, and then the British took over.
Because that's who helped get them their state that they're in. If you look at it, it was Britain who was behind it was Britain behind Israel getting where they are now
today. And then by putting them into the position of where the Palestine people were there, it's just like you just come into a neighborhood and you set up shop. Okay. Now it's going to be some problem. If you get upset, if you bring Section 8 people, or you say we got a prison reform and we're going to put them in your neighborhood. Nobody wants people to come in that they feel lesser, okay? And just over the years, the Palestine people have just been in a bad position,
Exactly. And that's the one thing I want to make clear. My thing is that the Palestinian people have the right to be protected as well, but it's the leadership that they put in place that has caused this. It's the Hamas, those people whose whole every waking day is to knock Israel off the face of the earth. They don't want to live with them in peace, and that's what I'm saying is the Palestinian people are fine. It's the leadership of this Hamas that don't want to live in peace.
Well, now, this is another caveat to the situation. We're here in America and different countries. Now, this conflict has been going on 2,000 years. They've been blowing up, tearing up. They just got more powerful weapons now, especially Israel.
Exactly.
Well, when you look at the retaliation that people have, these groups, do you see the vulnerability, especially in other countries, say Europe, or even if they can get over here? Can you see problems? Because, because people say, well, they over there, they're a couple thousand miles away. Ain't nothing they doing to affect us. But what do you see? How does it affect us over here?
How that's going to affect us over here is simple. We got open borders that people have just been saying that. They said we've had over 1 million people unvetted coming through these gates. And my problem, my thing is the reason why we've got to take charge of that is that because don't tell me that out of 1 million people come here, everybody coming to work. Well, I have to remind them, don't they have Don't they have a bunch of these people at the border called children? What job they going to if they unaccompanied children being sent here? So you see what I'm saying? So people around the world see this as a gate, along with the fentanyl that's coming across the border, along with the sex trafficking that's coming across the border, along with a lot of criminals that have been on international watch lists, not watch lists just in America, but wanted by other countries, are getting caught at the borders. And what we're doing is, we saying they could come here and stay. We're not monitoring these people. We've got to do it. So that's why I'm saying it's funny. Biden goes and asks he wants $100 billion in this support stuff. And he's probably going to get it because of what's going on in Ukraine and Israel now. But if you don't put something in there that says that we need to protect these borders and that we've got to, yes, we are open to it. We have processes that are legal for people to come here. Illegal people don't need to come here and skip the line and get ahead of people who are doing what they're supposed to do the right way. Those systems have been there. They need to follow the law that we've had on books for years. And the laws need to start saying, hey, you illegal, you get to go back to your country. And all these people saying, these people are going to be separated from them. Guess what? They sure can go back to the countries with their parents. Born here or not. Because why? You're not separating them. You're sending them with their parents. If their parents are here illegal, they shouldn't benefit from it. So that's just another thing. But we need to get involved in that, because what we don't need to end up with is sleeper cells, i.e. like 9/11 happened. That happened in our soil because we fell asleep at the switch. We didn't allow a lot of the agencies to talk to each other, to share information. People didn't follow up with things in there because everybody was this is my thing, that's my thing, this thing. And next thing we know, we was looking up on that day on 9/11, watching planes take down buildings and stuff. Watch people. We came to a standstill. That's the only time I've been alive that it's ever stopped sports in America.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Think
then
about
COVID came. COVID came and slowed some things down. But one of the things, and I think America, when it comes down to taking care of Israel, ever since I think 1968, when America became Israel's strongest partner. 48, it was France, and Great Britain was trying to pull out after World War II because they suffered so hard. They was like, hey man, we can't help you. We ain't got nothing to fight. But one of the things that's happening with all this going down, we still have to pay attention to Russia and China. Okay.
Well, and that's why I think that right now, who really we need to be looking out is China, because ultimately it's that we don't need to have ourselves and resources so stretched out that we let our guard down. Because mind you, you and I know the other forces that are going over there and support in there that's not on the TV yet, and you know what I'm talking about, being a military man in your field. Yeah. You there, you just ain't showed up yet. At least not to where people see.
Right.
And I'm not giving away that strategy because I know we're there in the way that you and I know you're there. But we need to be watching still around the world, because I just saw something on 60 Minutes about the I-5, which was a group of nations. It was New Zealand, Canada, America, and what they were talking about was how that the world is fighting China on a basically on a spy level and just a theft level of intellectual properties and stuff around the world. And they are doing that, and they're infiltrating our lives and stuff. And we in America here, which people may be mad, but Trump was right. We should have bought TikTok. We should have bought it because they can sit there and say what they want, because I don't know if people in America are aware, TikTok in China is not what it is here in America. It's used to educate their people. They cut it off at a certain time. It's not 24/7, and young people can't be on it the way our people are. And the stuff that goes on there. I don't have no TikTok, so I just have to say for the record, I don't want nothing like that. I don't want nothing just like that.
Well, you think about, like I said, there can be backlash in this country. from what's going on now. People already look at that area as being the final Armageddon. People talking about World War III, all this type of stuff. Well, when you get two countries, Russia, one of the sidebar conversations is Russia is saying, at some point, the United States not going to be able to put, if that conflict gets worse, the United States not going to be able to put as much money over there in the Ukraine. Okay. So they're gonna have some problems. In Russia, this hadn't happened since Kennedy days, when Russia said, "Okay, you need to leave them alone." Okay,
Right.
because we this is ours. Ukraine is ours, and they can put pressure on the rest of the countries to not give them weapons, because the only way the people in the Ukraine are fighting this big giant called Russia, keeping them off their behind, is because of the United States and the European nation. Well, and China, when they look at it, they look at Israel, because you got to see where I was looking at a Chinese presentation. They look at this conflict as being, because the United States' hands is all over the place. And
exactly.
China is already in parts of Africa.
Exactly. They're building bases there.
Oh, yes. And they're saying, okay, now, if back off, leave this side alone if y'all want this. And when we think about our goods, our services, the things that we get, a lot of stuff comes through that area, the Suez Canal.
Yes.
Probably about a good 60-70% of everything we get comes out through that canal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's another reason America has really been supplying and supporting Israel, because that's a stronghold to make sure that canal stays clear. I think I forgot what year that was. What year? Oh, 1956. That's when they had the war. Egypt went over there and wanted to fail. So United States, ever since then, America is like, hey, you can't bother this canal. And Israel being there keeps the United States presence in that area. We was talking about going from Saudi Arabia, all around that, from the Mediterranean, the Indian Ocean. That pathway has to be open. So Israel's interests by default become America's issues.
It's no question about it. I mean, yeah. when you look at what happened with Yemen the other day, they fired missiles up there. The first thing I said was, as much as America talking about we think they was going that way, well, we weren't taking no chances, because them missiles, I believe, were headed to our aircraft carriers. That's just me, because I mean, they saying they were headed in direction, and I don't know if you were aware also that even Hamas on land fired some missiles out there toward. They say they were shooting at the gas and oil platforms out there that was out there toward our carriers. Of course, our carriers out there ain't no joke. They took it down. No missiles. No missiles. We was up there yawning like, you want some of this, Hamas? Oh. No, you don't want none of this.
None of that. The only thing that keeps America war effort at bay a little bit is the American people. But if you start hurting, killing, and maiming American people, we will become in a position kind of similar to Israel. Okay,
that's why I said that the moment that they took our hostages and Americans got killed in the attack on October the 7th, we was involved. Period. We was involved. It just so happens that you mess with our little brother too. On top of that, not a good thing for you to do.
Well, now I know, and it might not be anything we can say or do, but I know we're saying, I'm just thinking of something that could just keep some form of peace. But these people have been fighting for so long. and you look at it, because sometimes, I will say, man, you mean the Bible is that strong? These folk trace themselves back to Abraham and they still going toe to toe?
Well, the problem that you have was they lost any chance of a peaceful solution the way they want when you went after innocent people on October 7th. You had,
Okay.
my thing is this, what problem did they have with babies? What problem? What problem did you have with innocent concert goers? They're not
Right.
they're not the ones in charge of this land that you got this problem with. You attack them. So understand, if they were looking for an international solution, they should have been going through the international places that they know that Israel respects. But
Now,
you can't go after people, slaughtering people,
I,
innocent people at that, civilians that had nothing to do with this.
I,
And then now you want to talk about, oh, everybody wants, all of a sudden now they want Israel to be like, oh, you need to ceasefire. No, why don't you tell them to give up the hostage, like I said, surrender, and you commit to teaching your people that Israel needs to live in peace. Then you got, if that's where it starts with, that will work for the people of Palestine. That will work with the people around the world that's the start of peace, when you decide that Israel can live in peace. Period. You get, if that's what you want, you don't do that by slaughtering people. You do that by saying we want to have treaty. That's why when the last accord, I can't even think of the last accord they just had, it was just signed a few months ago.
okay.
They was getting ready to talk to was it Saudi Arabia? Israel. As soon as this happened, it got taken off the table.
Off table. Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
I like, again, I don't think the actual people, because the people of Palestine and the people of Israel, however, when you bring the military element in, it changes everything. Now, the Hamas, and we don't know how many people actually belong to it. So anytime you're looking for an enemy or a threat that mixes well with the people, it puts it can put you in a bad situation, because there's nothing you can do to get rid of them that looks nice. We talk about that.
And that's what I mean by it. That's what I'm saying is that until they lay down and they teach their people that peace can be achieved from both sides with your actions and not with the actions of slaughter and murder. When they decide that you can live in peace, follow your own religion, follow your culture, do your stuff. I'm not going to interfere with your stuff. You don't need to interfere with mine, and show that by your actions. That's when the people that they realize that, wait a minute, we can live alongside of people civilized if you take civilized action. You have to take civilized action, because it's the action that speaks out loud. Because remember, it was action on Hamas's side that brought about all of this thing. The thing is now is the Israel people are not having it no more. They're not going to get attacked. Let me say it this way: they won't get attacked no more from Gaza.
Oh, yeah.
That's over.
Well, that's you. Well, by being over there, coming through there a couple of times, like you say, they are different. They are different. When you coming up against someone, and Israel is in a position where, they're in that area, with all those countries. Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, Syria, all the countries. Well, we tend to have the countries that don't like Israel don't like us, America.
It's real simple.
I mean, because of Israel and our interest over there.
Yes,
we have to have our nose in the game. We got skin in the game, and when you got skin in the game, you have to be ready. But over here, like we said earlier, American people, European people around the world, because if they can't touch them, terrorist groups will build up and recruit people to try to touch us. Anything that they can do to weigh in because in their position, they can't get Israel's attention. Ain't nothing they can do other than lay down the guns and the weapons. But these terrorist groups might feel that, hey, if we can strong arm people in the European Union or people in the United States, and that's why they take hostages. Israel's bottom line is we do not negotiate with terrorists. Okay, I mean off the rip, no end of discussion. Period. At the end of the sentence, it's no. All bets are off. So people in other countries might feel that they would be in a better negotiating position if they could, do something to American citizens. I mean, you just can't come in American takeover, but American citizens are everywhere. So definitely want people got to be on their you got to keep your head on a swivel more now than ever before, because this hot spot is so hot. And for everybody that's joining, what's up, Mr. Kevin Crafton? For everybody that's joining us in these other spaces and places, I hope that you have conversations like what we having this evening. We unpack it a lot so you can see what's going on from 2,000 years ago all the way up to now. So thank you there, Eric, for just bringing your wealth of information and sharing just a point of view. And I definitely like to get black males' points of view, because sometimes people don't ask us nothing. They ask us to score the game.
I know.
Who gonna get to you? But this affects us too. And we're somewhat sympathetic. Like I said, it goes back to the 60s when Malcolm and many other brothers were pro Palestine. But it was a different type Palestine back then.
Well, okay? Yeah. I just really hope that people will use the routes with the international organization to get to get them to get involved in a way that they can get to a solution. But this thing about slaughtering people and doing that stuff there, I'm not supporting that. And people shouldn't support that, because what you're gonna have to support, if you support that, then you gotta support the repercussions of it. Because you can't go out here and indiscriminately go after people who are innocent. Then when somebody responds, you want them to somehow be objective. You can't have it both ways. You either support objective stuff from the beginning, and until you take care and get those objective things from the beginning of it, don't talk to me about, what's the equal level of response. There ain't no equal level of response with nobody when you go after children and innocent people. You've taken that off the table. You've made everything. You've taken it off the table. If you want to do that, then you need to go after the diplomatic channels that you need to with the international community there. Bring them on board as well. Get them involved in it. And even with that, something can move. You can move the needle with that. You can't move it with going after innocent people. You can't move it.
Yeah, violence is never the answer. And I know sometimes the small man, it's like the David Goliath type situation. But in David's position, we gotta. You can't endanger your people, and by those attacks and different things, it compromises the effort. It makes people a little bit less sympathetic to your efforts. But man, this was powerful, Eric. I mean, give the people any contact information or anything that you got going on, man. It's been a good conversation. We're coming back on this. This ain't over.
Well, have me back anytime, Drum. I'm trying to keep up with it here, man. And I hope that there is some diplomatic ways that they can actually work this out. But to me, they're gonna have to, like I said, give up the hostage, lay down their weapons there, and talk about peace moving forward forever. But because you can't go back to doing this type of thing, it's just not gonna be a good thing. If anybody wants me, just email me, elawmorton@gmail. elawmorton@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it, Drummer, and we'll talk next time.
Thank you. And for everybody that joined us, I hope you have some conversations within your family, some civil conversation. This is a hot topic. It's a toughie. And it's hard for people to really digest it, how impactful it is and can be to you, me, and everybody else This thing goes back 2,000 years. You know, a lot of people, we went through the timeline. I hope you go through my page and see the timeline of Israel, timeline of people of Palestine. And when you see some of these things and you can start to understand some of the conflicts. Yeah, war, you're right, Brother Kevin. War is always collateral damage on both sides, you know, but we pray that there's some type of peaceful solution, you know. When it comes down to the people of Palestine, I can I can have empathy and sympathy for what could be considered the underdog. Okay, but at the same time, you know, you got to be. It's hard to say it in a war, but you got you just can't kill women and children. The people of Israel. Now, I would think Israel is a bigger country, small in size, but they carry a lot of weight. And I would hope that they will find, you know, be the bigger country and have some type of peaceful solution. I think they are in position right now to make this a peaceful thing, but a lot of that's going to depend on Hamas, how they deal with what they're doing, and you know, it's a tight, hot spot situation. So we keep our prayers up for that area, for the people in the area. You know, I don't belittle humans. I think everybody's a human being, and I think human beings can be reached. I mean, it is what it is. But if the people and most people I'm seeing in the chat say Hamas does not want peace, okay, it's hard to deal with somebody that want to fight. Okay, I mean, sometimes it is what it is. But for the people that live in Palestine, and I would hope that you would reach out to be looked at differently and let people know, hey, this ain't us. This ain't us doing this. You know, don't bomb us up. You know, just tear us up. We're not doing this. You know. But with that being said, this is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, and it's been a plum pleasing and a powerful pleasure to have each and every one of you on our show tonight. I hope that something, these are our opinions, and I hope that it made you think, made you look at the situation, because this is a hot topic, a hot spot for America, hot spot for the people over there in Israel. It is what it is. So keep the prayers up and take care and stay ready at all times so you don't have to get ready. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe over here at Square Mile Media Atlanta. Until next week, let's make it a great day.